Can everybody see the way it's situated, or no?
It's a little low.
Hold it up on the podium.
Is that better?
On the podium.
Hold it up here.
On the podium for a minute or two?
Yes.
Yeah, just if these guys get a shot first. No, not yet. Okay.
On the podium.
One minute.
Two. Go on.
Jen, just let whoever know. They usually have a lot of curse words on that.
Yeah, that's right there.
On here. Sure. Sure. You wanted you to know that there are persons in the coast. Yes. Yeah. Fine. I know, they know, I told them. Done it? Okay, New York is awesome.
Hey, Jim. Hello? Yeah.
Flat old boy, you're still worth it. You can do a buyout.
One talk with me, you tell me, I'll be glad to do it. I like your company, we're doing pretty healthy. So we're not doing buyouts.
I've already been bought out, I've been thrown out.
All right, we'll start in about 2 minutes.
We won't be able to lose alumni.
Okay, Pete, you can wind down now to the podium.
There's quite a bit of profanity.
They're taking it long.
Thanks. Bye. Andy?
We're getting a new lawyer, I guess.
One second.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Berman, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Today, we announce criminal extortion charges against Michael Avenatti. The charges are based on Avenatti's scheme to extract more than $20 million in payments from a public company by threatening to use his ability to garner publicity to inflict financial and reputational harm on the company. Avenatti's conduct had nothing to do with zealous advocacy for a client or any other kind of legitimate legal work. Instead, Avenatti used illegal and extortionate threats for the purpose of obtaining millions of dollars in payments for himself. Avenatti repeatedly pressured the company to agree to pay or risk having Avenatti hold a press conference that he claimed would dramatically drive down the stock price of the company and its market value. As Avenatti threatened in one recorded meeting, if the company did not meet his demands, the company might die, but if not, it was, quote, going to be inflicted with cut after cut after cut after cut. As alleged, the entire scheme played out in less than a week. Avenatti first met with representatives of the company last Tuesday, March 19, in Manhattan. At that meeting, Avenatti said he represented a client who coached an amateur high school basketball team sponsored by the company, which is Nike. The team had recently lost that contract worth $72,000 a year, and Avenatti claimed the coach had information about potential misconduct by employees at Nike. The allegations of misconduct were similar in kind to those that form the core of a prior criminal prosecution brought by our office, that payments were made to families of high school basketball players. In that meeting, and in subsequent conversations that were recorded as part of our investigation, Avenatti threatened to hold a press conference at which he would make these allegations public if the company did not agree to his financial demands. Avenatti promised to forego the press conference and allow the company to avoid financial harm if the company agreed to pay his client $1.5 million and for Avenatti himself to retain Avenatti and another co-conspirator to conduct a multi-million-dollar internal investigation, that the company did not request. Avenatti made clear that he was approaching the company at a time intended to maximize the potential financial damage of such a press conference, namely on the eve of the annual NCAA tournament and the company's quarterly earnings call. As Avenatti threatened on one call recorded during the investigation, if the company did not accede to his financial demands, and in his words, quote, "I'll go take $10 billion off your client's market cap." In a recorded meeting the next day with representatives of the company, Avenatti made clear that he expected to be paid up to $25 million, with $12 million to be paid up front and deemed earned when paid. And when asked by a lawyer for the company why the company would agree to such an arrangement, Avenatti responded in substance that he had the company in a very vulnerable position where he could wipe out $5 to $6 billion of its market capital. When the company's lawyers resisted paying Avenatti to conduct an internal investigation, Avenatti told the company it could skip paying for an internal investigation if instead it simply paid him $22.5 million. Then Avenatti said he would, quote, ride off into the sunset. Pressure and a sense of urgency were used in delivering these threats. As you can see from the timeline, this all happened in a period of 3 days. On day one, March 19th, a Tuesday, this was the first meeting between Avenatti, representatives from Nike, and the co-conspirator. At this meeting, Avenatti, for the first time, made his extortionate demands and threats. Following that meeting, representatives from Nike called prosecutors at my office and informed our office of the extortionate demands and threats made by Avenatti. Going forward, all interactions between Nike representatives and Avenatti were recorded and overseen by the FBI and my office. On day two, Wednesday, March 20th, there was a recorded phone call with Avenatti, the co-conspirator, and representatives from Nike, where Avenatti again made his threats and demands. And on day three, there was a meeting, which was recorded on Thursday, March 21st, last Thursday, in which Avenatti repeated his demands and threats. And as you can see, he graphically described his hold on the company. At the end of this meeting, on Thursday, they agreed that there would be one final meeting the coming Monday, which is today. And at that meeting, Nike would either accede to Avenatti's demands or suffer the consequences. After that meeting, about 2 hours after that meeting, Avenatti decided to turn up the heat on Nike. He issued a tweet, and it said, "Something tells me that we have not reached the end of this scandal." And by scandal, he's talking about the college basketball corruption prosecutions brought by the Southern District of New York. The scandal is likely far, far broader than imagined. So while this tweet went out to the public, it was intended and designed for an audience of one. This was Michael Avenatti's shot across Nike's bow. Through the alleged course of conduct, Avenatti used legal terms like claims and settlements and retainers, but these were mere devices to provide cover for Avenatti's extortionate demands for a massive payday for himself. By engaging in the conduct alleged in the complaint, Avenatti was not acting as an attorney. A suit and tie doesn't mask the fact that, at its core, this was an old-fashioned shakedown. The charges announced today reflect the hard work not only of this office, but our law enforcement partners at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. To my left is my good friend, Bill Sweeney, the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's New York field office. I want to thank him and his team for their professionalism in seeing this investigation through. I want to acknowledge and thank the career prosecutors and agents of my office for their role in the investigation and prosecution of this case. To my right is Matt Podolsky, Robert Boone, Rob Sobelman, and their supervisor in the Public Corruption Unit, Edward Discant. The talent and professionalism of these dedicated public servants is really extraordinary. Our legal system, our system of justice, requires and relies on attorneys, members of the bar, to not simply follow the law, but uphold its finest principles.